Welcome Ecology Bio 306 to Trophic Cascade, presented by Harry, Sua, Marcus, Arshawn, and Anthony. What are trophic levels? They're stages within the food web: primary producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. It's the interconnected or interplay between organisms and their environment. So, like primary consumers would eat the primary producers, which are plant life. They're herbivores. Secondary consumers eat the herbivores. Tertiary consumers eat the animals that would eat the herbivores, but some tertiary consumers can act as secondary consumers. So it's the relationship between organisms and what they eat within the ecosystem. What is a keystone species? The term keystone species is a metaphor that comes from the architectural field. The center stone of an arch built from stone is known as the keystone. Although this centerpiece does not hold much of the arch's weight, the arch will end up collapsing without this keystone. In a similar fashion, a keystone species can have a large effect on a local ecosystem. What is a keystone species? Continued. Keystone species are normally found to be the dominant species residing in a particular community, serving as predators, parasites, herbivores, or competitors. A keystone species can be defined as a species that drastically affects the nature of the community's population, even if the number of that species is particularly low. Loss of a keystone species effect, trophic cascade. Trophic cascades are powerful indirect interactions that can control entire ecosystems, occurring when a trophic level in a food web is suppressed, causing a domino-like effect throughout the other trophic levels. One example we can view for keystone species is a cougar. A cougar qualifies for a keystone species since they are messy eaters. Their habitat leaves leftovers for more organisms to gain energy. They are influenced by prey, which increases their ecological impact. Example of a keystone species loss continued. Reduced cougar densities in Zion National Park in Utah, possibly due to an increase in human visitation to the park. This led to higher mule deer populations that then consumed more of the local flora. This loss of plant life led to an increased bank erosion, which resulted in a drop in terrestrial and aquatic species richness. So, without the cougar, the mule deer population increased. But also, the mule deer were probably going into areas that the cougar would have suppressed their visiting. Just similar, like the wolves in Yellowstone. With the wolves in Yellowstone, the deer didn't go into areas that were more open. They hid. They were in more of the dense thicket part of the forests rather than the outskirts that were open fields and plains. Similar to this, without the cougar, the mule deer were able to go into areas that were more wide open, more visible to the predator if they had been there. So without the predator there, they didn't have something to suppress them going into that area. And when they did, they were eating away at the plant life that would hold the soil in place and caused erosion. But then that also changed the morphology of the topography of the land, causing shifts within the way the water flowed and moved through the ecosystem. This also means that because the cougar wasn't there or reduced in numbers, that the population of mule deer had less predation, meaning more of them survived, more of them could reproduce, and increase in larger size of population.